An unprecedented disruption during a primetime network broadcast has sparked an intense global investigation into the true mechanics of modern reality television. When 23-year-old Sydney resident walked onto the stage of America's Got Talent, casual viewers assumed they were witnessing a routine talent evaluation. However, within 90 seconds of her stepping up to the microphone, an unexpected physical confrontation erupted at the main judge's table, forcing broadcast technicians to momentarily halt the standard production flow. The televised broadcast framed this incident as a spontaneous, overnight viral phenomenon born out of pure, unadulterated luck. Yet, a closer look at the corporate paper trail reveals a highly complex narrative that contradicts the network's official timeline. Journalists and media analysts tracking the footage are now pointing out that what looked like a random artistic breakthrough was actually the culmination of a multi-year chess match played behind the scenes of the international entertainment industry. The question remains whether the audience witnessed genuine, raw happenstance or a highly strategic corporate maneuver designed to shock the public. As viewers across the globe continue to dissect the footage frame by frame, industry insiders suggest that this specific incident highlights a growing tension between independent creators and major network executives. The fallout from the broadcast has sent shockwaves through the community, prompting an editorial deep dive into how these massive television moments are constructed, managed, and distributed to the masses. This isn't just a story about a viral audition. It is an investigative look into the hidden machinery of global entertainment. The official television broadcast described her as an ordinary real estate administrative worker, but official entertainment archives tell a radically different story. Public enrollment documents and industry registrations confirm that was deep within the corporate entertainment pipeline long before her current American television appearance. Far from a simple amateur chasing a distant dream, she possessed deep ties to major recording blocks and television producers in the Southern Hemisphere. Journalistic investigations into her early career show that she spent years navigating high-stakes corporate talent divisions, functioning as an experienced operative within heavily manufactured media spaces. This extensive background raises significant questions regarding the authenticity of her presentation on American networks, which completely omitted her previous corporate backing and professional development. Media analysts argue that presenting an experienced industry professional as a completely untrained, everyday worker is a standard tactical maneuver used by production teams to artificially amplify the dramatic impact of a performance. By scrubbing her deep history with major talent scouters from the broadcast narrative, the network successfully engineered a clean slate storyline that captured public sympathy. However, this manufactured narrative directly compromises the transparency expected from modern broadcast journalism. Investigators examining the case have discovered that her professional history was deliberately downplayed, painting a picture of an isolated independent artist rather than an individual backed by substantial industry experience. The timeline of her television career officially traces back to a highly public corporate dismissal that nearly ended her media aspirations before they truly began. In 2018, records show she entered the competitive arena of The Voice Australia, where she suffered an immediate corporate rejection after failing to secure a single chair turn from the judging panel. Though she managed a minor comeback during a subsequent season, advancing to the top 12 corporate finalists under external mentorship, her contract was abruptly terminated prior to the live television broadcasts. This sudden corporate sidelining effectively halted her momentum within the domestic Australian market, serving as her first major clash with executive gatekeepers. Rather than disappearing from the public eye, however, this initial institutional rejection appears to have forced her to pivot toward international broadcast networks. Independent reporters reviewing her career trajectory note that this early elimination served as a critical turning point, exposing the intense volatility of the reality television industry. The sudden termination of her corporate contracts left her with limited options inside her home country, prompting an aggressive reassessment of her global distribution strategy. This specific period of her career was defined by rapid institutional shifts, as she desperately attempted to bypass domestic media blockades to find a direct pathway to international consumers. A mysterious gap in network programming schedules reveals that her current breakthrough was actually preceded by a complete broadcast blackout. Journalistic reviews of international media logs confirm that flew to the United States to film an official audition for America's Got Talent Season 15. Investigative records show she successfully cleared initial vetting rounds, secured a place in the official network promotional packages, and was prominently featured in trailers distributed to global affiliates. Yet, when the actual season debuted on television, her entire performance segment was completely scrubbed from the broadcast, leaving no official explanation from network executives. This complete media erasure forced her to return to Sydney empty-handed, effectively wiping her presence from the American market. The sudden and unannounced removal of her footage has fueled intense speculation among broadcast watchdogs regarding potential legal, contractual, or creative disagreements behind closed doors. Network executives have consistently maintained a strict policy of non-disclosure regarding uncredited audition tapes, leaving a massive piece of her professional history shrouded in corporate secrecy. This hidden archival gap proves that her recent success was not her first interaction with the network, but rather a secondary attempt to infiltrate a television market that had previously chosen to completely erase her existence from the public record. Confidential legal filings and corporate restructurings reveal that her television struggles were directly mirrored by a chaotic fallout with one of the largest record labels in the world. Shortly after her initial uncredited appearance on American networks, documents show she secured a major recording contract with Music Australia. This agreement was positioned to grant her access to global distribution networks and top-tier studio resources. However, internal corporate adjustments and strategic realignments led to a sudden, unannounced termination of her contract, separating her from major label backing before a debut album could materialize. This forced her into the highly volatile independent market, where she was legally required to self-fund her debut extended play, Yours Truly, without the cushion of corporate capital. Financial analysts covering the entertainment sector point out that navigating a sudden severance from a major conglomerate typically cripples an independent artist's market viability. The sheer cost of international marketing, studio production, and legal clearance often prevents independent creators from competing with heavily subsidized corporate talent. Her ability to survive this massive institutional shift, independent of corporate funding, suggests either significant personal resourcefulness or external strategic guidance that was never disclosed to the public during her subsequent television appearances. When she finally stepped back onto the international stage, her musical strategy was specifically engineered to exploit weaknesses in the judging panel's expectations. For her return audition, she chose a highly challenging and emotionally complex piece, covering RAYE's industry-focused track, Oscar-winning Tears. Production notes indicate that the executive producers anticipated a standard, predictable pop vocal arrangement from an unknown international contestant. Instead, she executed a highly calculated artistic pivot, seamlessly transitioning from a traditional blues vocal range directly into an aggressive, rapid-fire rhythmic rap delivery. This unexpected shift completely disrupted the typical panel dynamic, catching seasoned executives entirely off guard. Professional vocal coaches reviewing the tape performance have identified this sudden stylistic shift as a highly sophisticated tactical choice. By presenting two completely distinct, highly competitive musical disciplines within a single 90-second window, she effectively forced the judges to evaluate her as a unique market commodity. The sheer speed of the vocal transition left the panel with no time to coordinate their responses, creating an immediate, high-stakes atmosphere inside the auditorium that quickly spilled over into absolute operational chaos at the center console. The climax of the broadcast recorded what appears to be a physical breach of protocol among the network's highest-paid judges. As the final musical note concluded, veteran judge actively prepared to initiate the network's highest promotional honor, moving his hand toward the central golden buzzer mechanism. In a split-second development that violated standard production etiquette, Judge physically lunged across the main console, blocking her colleague's trajectory to forcefully claim the selection for herself. This hostile interception triggered an immediate downpour of golden confetti, automatically locking the contestant into the live broadcast finals and overriding the standard voting structure. Media defense teams have attempted to downplay the incident as light-hearted reality television banter, but behind-the-scenes sources suggest real frustration regarding panel boundary violations. The physical scramble at the center desk highlighted intense internal rivalries among the celebrity judges, who constantly compete for control over the show's most viral, high-retention moments. This chaotic incident completely derailed the pre-planned recording schedule, forcing the production crew to recalibrate their cameras to capture the immediate fallout of an unscripted corporate asset grab. Independent public records and digital forensics have sparked intense public skepticism regarding the humble economic background presented on television. Public forum investigations and local business registries indicate that the small family real estate agency mentioned during her introductory segment is actually connected to substantial commercial assets in New South Wales. Sharp-eyed viewers noticed that her father accompanied her backstage while exhibiting behavior patterns consistent with a seasoned, high-profile talent manager rather than a casual family member. This has fueled widespread speculation that her family commands significant financial and structural influence within the Australian business sector, casting doubt on her portrayal as an isolated, self-made underdog. Journalistic scrutiny into reality television production confirms that networks frequently heighten an applicant's economic vulnerability to maximize emotional investment from the voting public. When an artist's actual background involves significant financial security or corporate connections, it directly threatens the integrity of the program's narrative. As independent investigators continue to contrast her corporate footprint against her carefully curated on-screen persona, the discrepancy threatens to expose the systematic manipulation of public perception by major network programming divisions. This investigative look into her career trajectory forces a difficult conclusion regarding the true nature of modern broadcast competitions. The timeline demonstrates that possesses undeniable, world-class vocal execution and rare performance versatility. However, her journey simultaneously highlights the heavy, calculated engineering that dictates every single minute of modern reality programming. As the boundary between authentic public discovery and highly managed corporate scripting continues to blur, the public is left to decipher whether they are watching the organic rise of an independent musical force or a brilliantly executed corporate agenda designed by television executives to capture global attention. This case study serves as a definitive reminder that in the high-stakes world of primetime entertainment, things are rarely as straightforward as they appear on screen. Moving forward, media consumers must approach these viral phenomena with an investigative mindset, recognizing that behind every sudden explosion of golden confetti lies a complex network of contracts, history, and deliberate narrative design.